Alright, straight in. Number 1. Moldy bread magic. Picture this. It's the 1920s and a scientist named Alexander Fleming goes on vacation. When he gets back, he notices that one of his petri dishes has been invaded by a fuzzy green squatters colony, mold. Most people would have gagged, tossed it out, and blamed the lab intern. But not Fleming. He noticed the bacteria in the dish were dying anywhere near the mold. Surprise, mold was basically an assassin for hire against microscopic germs. That fuzzy loaf squatter? Penicillium notatum. The accidental discovery became penicillin, the first true antibiotic. Before this, a scratch from your cat, or even shaving with a dull razor, could get infected and kill you. Thanks to moldy bread juice, doctors suddenly had a super weapon to stop bacteria in their tracks. But here's the fun irony. Fleming didn't think it was going to be a big deal. He basically shrugged and wrote a paper about it like, yeah, mold kills germs, neat. It took other scientists over a decade to realize they were sitting on a miracle drug that would go on to save hundreds of millions of lives. Today, penicillin is the granddaddy of antibiotics, and without it, humanity might still be dropping dead from infected hangnails. So yeah, next time you throw out moldy bread, remember it's basically the reason you exist. Number 2. Plastic wrap for your organs. You've probably used cellophane, or at least peeled plastic wrap off your leftover pizza. But did you know it once saved entire populations from starving? Cellophane was originally made in 1908 by a Swiss chemist named Jacques Brandenberger, who was just trying to make waterproof fabric for waiters, because apparently soggy waiters were a pressing issue. Instead, he invented a transparent, flexible film. So, at first people didn't care much. It was just a weird, crinkly sheet. Then the food industry had a light bulb moment. Wait, we can wrap stuff in this and keep it from rotting. Suddenly, meat, cheese, bread, everything lasted longer. During World War II, this oops invention became a game changer for food preservation and shipping supplies across continents. Without it, millions of soldiers and civilians would have been stuck with spoiled rations and empty stomachs. So yes, while you curse plastic wrap for sticking to itself like some clingy ex, it once stood between humanity and mass starvation. Cellophane was literally the transparent bodyguard of the 20th century. Number 3. Rubber's bouncy redemption. Let's talk rubber. For centuries, it was kind of a disappointment. Early versions melted in the summer, froze in the winter, and generally behaved like a toddler, completely unreliable. Then along came Charles Goodyear in 1839, who, no joke, accidentally dropped rubber mixed with sulfur onto a hot stove. Instead of turning into goo, it became stretchy, durable, and stable. He called it vulcanized rubber. Yes, named after the Roman god of fire because chemists can be dramatic like that. Suddenly, rubber could be used for tires, hoses, boots, and basically the entire industrial revolution on wheels. No rubber, no cars. No rubber, no airplanes. No rubber, no condoms. And then you're not just saving humanity, you're overpopulating it. Goodyear spent his life broke and mocked, but his mistake literally paved the way for modern transportation and medicine. So the next time you bounce a ball or ride a bike, thank a guy who set his lab on fire and accidentally gave humanity the elastic superpower it needed. Number 4. The gas that saves. This one's wild. You know how oxygen is like your best friend? Well, in the 1840s, a dentist named Horace Wells discovered that another gas, nitrous oxide, aka laughing gas, could stop people from feeling pain during surgery. Up until then, surgery was basically hold him down and saw fast. And if that sounds horrifying, it's because it was. Laughing gas turned surgery from medieval torture into something survivable. Suddenly, people could undergo amputations, tooth extractions, and even major operations without the bonus trauma of screaming their lungs out. It was the gateway drug, literally, to modern anesthesia, which would later expand into ether and chloroform. Of course, it wasn't discovered for noble reasons. People used nitrous oxide as a party drug at carnivals, stumbling around giggling like drunk toddlers. But when Wells noticed someone under its influence didn't feel pain from an injury, he had a eureka moment that changed medicine forever. So the next time you get your wisdom teeth yanked while floating in a blissful haze, remember, your lack of suffering started with Victorian clowns huffing gas for fun. Number 5. Fire that doesn't kill you. Chlorinated water. The unglamorous hero you didn't know you were sipping. Back in the 19th century, cities were basically swimming pools of disease. Cholera, typhoid, dysentery, you name it. It was having a rave in the drinking supply. Then scientists figured out that adding chlorine killed bacteria before they killed you. The discovery wasn't exactly welcomed. People freaked out at the idea of drinking poison water. But the results spoke for themselves. Death rates from waterborne diseases plummeted, life expectancy soared, and cities suddenly became livable. This was less an invention and more of a desperate, let's pour chemicals in and see what happens move. But it worked. Without chlorination, the modern urban world couldn't exist. You'd still be fetching brown water from a questionable river and hoping the diarrhea didn't kill you before your 40th birthday. Instead, chlorine became one of the most important public health interventions ever, basically chemical armor against microscopic assassins. So the next time you drink tap water without instantly collapsing, you can thank a little chemical genocide happening in your glass. Cheers. Number 6. The miracle of sticking blood. Here's something both life-saving and kinda gross. Anticoagulants. In the early 20th century, scientists discovered heparin, a substance that prevents blood from clotting too much. Before this, surgeries and transplants were limited by the fact that blood either clotted instantly or didn't survive outside the body. With heparin, doctors could store blood, perform longer surgeries, and even invent blood banks. World War II saw massive use of this "oops" chemical, saving countless soldiers. Today, it's still critical for preventing strokes, heart attacks, and surgical disasters. The discovery itself wasn't glamorous. Jay McLean, a medical student in 1916, was just messing around with dog livers, as one does, when he stumbled upon the compound. What he found ended up becoming the reason open-heart surgery is even possible. So yeah, your blood not turning into a sticky horror movie scene every time you go under the knife? That's thanks to a random med student elbow deep in liver experiments. Number 7. From deadly gas to fertile fields. So, what if I told you humanity survived for centuries thanks to poop and pee? No, not in the exact way your imagination just went, but in the form of ammonia, NH3, and good old organic fertilizers, manure, compost, and every smelly gift animals left behind. Yep, civilization was basically fertilized by a giant stinking bathroom break. For most of history, farming meant recycling waste, animal dung, human waste, or if you were really fancy, guano. That's bat poop, by the way. It worked. Kind of. But as population skyrocketed in the 1800s, the world's demand for food started outrunning nature's supply of droppings. We were on a one-way train to mass starvation. Enter Fritz Haber in the early 1900s, who cracked the code. Pull nitrogen out of thin air and turn it into ammonia using the now famous Haber-Bosch process. The goal was fertilizer. The side effect? Feeding billions of people who would have never made it past "sorry, the fields are empty this year." But here's where chemistry gets spicy. That same process also churned out the raw material for explosives. Humanity basically got a chemical choose-your-own-adventure book. Grow wheat or make bombs. And, we definitely did both. Still, the agricultural impact was insane. Synthetic fertilizer transformed barren fields into food factories. Today, nearly half the nitrogen in your body, the stuff making up your muscles, skin, and bones, came from man-made fertilizer. Congratulations, you're basically 50% poop, 50% chemistry experiment. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.